The question is this: what is the US administration up to? They don't know what they're doing. This doesn't make any sense. This is chaos. This is horrible. I will just bear with me. I would explain to you that this is a little bit more complicated than it appears. This is Card Monte. This is a typical Card Monte. While you're looking over there, trying to figure out where the card is, the real card is over here. I explain. So basically, the Trump administration is saying they've just given extremely high tariffs to over 100 companies. From China at 34%, Vietnam at 46%, India 27%, UK 10%, everybody got it. Everyone got it. 100 countries. Even countries that do less than 1% of US imports got 10%. Okay? Even some countries in the Indian Ocean got 34%. Some ridiculous number, right? It is not that ridiculous. This is Card Monte. You looking over there saying, well, what are you going to do about it? Well, it's simple. What I want is I want all of these countries to be fair to the US and to start investing in the US or stop charging us very high tariffs. That is impossible to achieve. Not all of these countries are not going to abide, and they know it. Let's retract, and I'll show you what it means, and I will show you what you could do with your portfolio. So what does it mean? Well, it's basically they want you to invest in the US. That's not going to happen. Not all of these companies are going to do that. That's impossible. But they know that. Now keep in mind, this is the same administration that, one, went to Europe and said, it is time for you to spend your own money. And they said, what? Why? This is crazy. What is he doing? You were friends for years and now you're betraying us, blah. Hyped up by social media. Second, immigration. Let's kick them all out. That's not fair. Look what you're doing, right? 3, Doge. All that money that's being spent and they go systematically to show you what's happening. You may believe in some of them, you might not believe in some of them, but what you're seeing, this is a very systematic approach. Their approach has been systematic, and 1 and 2 and 3, and now of course the tariffs. Don't be surprised, they said he was going to do it. They said that this was something that was planned as part of being elected. So by doing all this, they are showing a very systematic approach to changing and making America the golden age, and we'll see what happens. Now, so why isn't this working? Why is this crazy? It is not so crazy because they're telling you it's crazy. They're telling these people don't know what they're doing, and it's hyped up obviously by the left. I'm not saying that they're wrong. I'm just saying that they're hyping it up to a point where you don't know what's going on, and this is what I'm here for. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and don't forget to take a look at my Patreon channel because I will show you what I do in this kind of a market. So basically you got these things there that seems totally unreasonable, but in fact are very well thought out. So but then if he doesn't want to, he knows that they're not going to get all that they want, so why are they doing it? This is why. They're doing it because, believe it or not, companies such as Apple, Microsoft, a bunch of companies that do business overseas, US companies, they pay almost no taxes. Why? Because, take the case of Apple, they're funneling all the money and all the revenues and all the profits through Ireland, through tax havens, right? And obviously not much money is coming into the US. That's going to change. That is going to change because now the money is coming from overseas. They're not going to raise taxes, but you're going to have to pay. You're going to have to pay for Europe. What are we talking about? 20%. At least, because now this is coming from the US. So you're going to have to use the tariffs. Through the tariffs, he's going to collect that money. The US is going to collect that money. Now, of course, Apple has 2 choices. If Apple, don't forget, the iPhone is coming from China. That is 34%. So the money comes from there, you get taxed 34%. Not taxed, but through the tariffs. So what choice does Apple have? Well, build a plant in the US, but come on. Do you know how many years this is going to take to do? It's not going to happen Monday morning, okay? So you give me my money now. You give me my 34%. Or, well, then you take a hit on your margins. Now, I will tell you that margins that Apple is collecting on iPhones, it's huge. This is not like retail. You get 2%. So you buy the egg at $1.10, you sell at $1.15. We're talking 30, 40, 50% profit margins here. So they either take it on the chin over there by paying and taking part of the 34% in their own income statement, in their own cash flow, so that they're able to sell the iPhone not at $3,000, but more than $1,000, obviously, but not as much as you would charge it if you did not have those fees. Because what the administration wants to do is they want to collect the money that they cannot collect right now, because everything is built overseas, which is a fantastic thing. That's going to happen regardless, but it's going to happen because the taxes are going on. And it's going to go on until China changes its approach. But how is that going to happen? That's never going to happen. Until Apple starts building plants in the US, that's going to take forever, ever. So, but in the meantime, he collects 34%. That's reason number one. And I'm not saying just iPhone, Apple, I'm talking about Amazon, and all these companies are making billions of dollars overseas, and most of it does not come back here because of tax haven. So while you're focused on saying how crazy this whole thing is, and it's never gonna happen, and trying to make it work, and trying to negotiate, you negotiate. Card Monte. Also, with 34% China, 46% Vietnam, 26% Korea, 32% India, 27% India, 32% Taiwan. These are very high numbers and all concentrated in Asia. Why? You're basically shutting off Asia. Why? Well, because Asia has become a little bit too independent. Because Asia, frankly, now doesn't even need dollars to buy oil in order to propel its economy. The dollar is losing its influence. And this is another way for the US administration to bring him all back home, bring the focus in the US economy. How is that going to happen? Well, the way it's going to happen is because you're not going to fill China's coffers anymore, because you're not going to be able to buy whatever they make. You're going to have to make it here. If you want a pair of pants, then you're going to have to buy it here, otherwise you're not wearing pants. But you're going to pay more money. Yes, of course. I'm not saying that this whole thing makes total sense. I'm not saying this is a good thing. I don't know. Nobody knows, because it depends what they're going to do, how long it's going to take. Because obviously the risk that you're taking is that you're pricing yourself out of the market. If all these countries says, forget the US, let's do our own thing, then you're in big trouble, unfortunately. And in the process, but that's immediate, and the immediate is that you're going to have, the iPhone is not going to cost $1,000 anymore. It's going to cost more, even if Apple takes it in the chin and takes some of those profits away and to be able to sell the thing. So that is a concern. And in addition to that, thinking about the stock market, what does this mean? Well, my friends, I will tell you what it means. Since Apple is going to take a share of its profit in the chin so that you do not pay, $2,000 for an iPhone, their profit is going to drop. And that means obviously that the stock market is going to drop, because these high valuation, these high PE are basically based on humongous amount of growth, a humongous amount of profit. You're not going to get that. So that's going to take a chin. But that makes total sense from as far as they're concerned, because remember my previous video, it is not about Wall Street, it's about Main Street. So what does that mean for you, my friends? Well, it means that the market is going to drop. And it already has, and frankly, it is still pretty high. If you look at the P ratio right now, it's still high even after that drop. So we are overvalued. So expect more downside. What do you do in something like that? Well, take a look at my Patreon channels. I'm going to put a bunch of ETFs and even potentially put option that you could put on your portfolio so that you could benefit from a drop in the market. There's a bunch of ETFs that did very well on Friday and Saturday, up 11-12%. Because why? Because they are leveraged to the negative. So if Tesla goes up, if Tesla goes down, this ETF goes up. If the QQQ, meaning the NASDAQ, goes down, this ETF goes up. Lots of options, but you have to know, where's it going to go? It's going to go down for a while. Why? Because you're taking away that 34%, someone has to pay for it. Apple and Amazon, they need to sell their items. So it needs to go through that process. And that's what's going to be expensive. That's one. Well, you're not going to be able to manage this entire process, right? They're not going to come in. That's never going to happen. And in the same time, you're cooling off China's heels, which was kind of doing very well. I mean, keep in mind, there's a lot of money flowing overseas right now. So what is the lesson, the moral of this story? This is Card Monte. Do not believe what you hear. Obviously, on the left, they're going to tell you all the incredible stupid thing that the president is doing. It is not stupid. It is very methodical. Now, is the end result going to be stupid? We'll see, right? Because either he's able to collect or he's not able to collect. Either they move over or they don't move over. And you're not going to do that. You're not going to know that for a while. And the market is going to be in trouble for a while. But that also means that what is the Fed going to do? And you listen to the Fed and you listen to Powell a couple of days ago, and you could see it was, well, I don't know what to do because I don't know what's going on. And obviously I'm not telling you, but I think this is ridiculous what he's doing, because now he's creating inflation. But I don't know how much inflation, so I don't know what I'm going to do. Now, technically right now, what the Fed should do, definitely lower rates, okay? Why? That doesn't make any sense. We have a huge amount of inflation. Well, the problem with the stock market, the way it is, you may actually slow everything down, because if you look at the latest survey in terms of how everyone feels, especially companies, people, and businesses and CEOs, it's all down. So expect some slowdown in economic activity. Therefore, you need to see yourself with lower rates. That could give a boost to the market. Let's see what happens. Card Monte, everyone.